We're rolling, baby.
And you got the fact in Slack?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right, here we go. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest... Whoa,
what the hell is...
What is going on?
There's two of you now?
I didn't like one.
Guys, I can be in two places at once now. Whoa, I didn't know I could do that.
I'm looking at two of you.
Yeah, listen, I'm here from the future to warn you guys. I can see the future. Don't review this movie because it sucks. Well, we're going to review it. I mean...
It's Madam Web. We got to talk about it.
This is Cinemajaw.
Future me, get out of here, dude.
Yeah, what the hell? Matt comes from the future. What news of that?
Don't say I didn't warn you. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from Cinemajaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye, the movie guy, and sitting to my left is none other than KP.
Hello.
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we look into the future, as we just did, and we cover our top 5 favorite movies about psychics, future visions, there's such a thing.
Yeah, so wait, are we doing like movies about psychics or psychics from movies?
I mean...
Because I don't know if I got the memo then. I did psychics from movies, like movie psychics.
Okay, that's fine. I did movies about having future visions.
It's the same thing.
More or less.
There's somebody in that movie that has these future visions.
Exactly. So I didn't pick the particular person. I'm just picking the movie in general.
It's an interchangeable topic.
It is. And to be honest, a harder one to come up with than I thought, because I should say this, I know there's a lot out there that have it some way tied into the plot of the movie, but it's not easily searchable or in your brain, or if I'm looking at my letterbox to come up with some of those all the time.
Oh, well, what you got to do is you just got to sit down and close your eyes and reach out with your mind into the internet and pluck the answers from the ether.
Easier said than done.
No, it's very simple.
We're doing our top 5 movies about psychics and seeing into the future. Because, Matt, you've seen into the future, and we have both seen Madam Web.
Yes. Yes, we have. And as the future me warned us, foreshadowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also want to ask you after Madam Web, because I believe we're both going to be sour on this one.
Did you stay to watch if there was a secret scene at the end?
Boy, I got saved. I was on Twitter or Threads or something.
There's not?
And I came across, I think it was like Variety or somebody, and there was a tweet that said, we asked the director why there was no post-credit scene. Okay. And I thought, thank the Lord, I don't have to wait because I want to be out of this theater as soon as the credits started rolling.
Yeah, You're both clairvoyant. Matt and the Matt with a beard that we just saw, and Ryan knowing ahead of time that there was no end sequence.
I know. We're psychic.
Yes. But we'll at least throw this out there. Get thinking about it, Matt. What are some other really bad comic book movies that would be in this realm? Let's get to that when we finish the review. Does that sound good?
Sounds good, yes. It's a reviled genre at times.
Yes. In addition to that, in honor of Dakota Johnson, who stars in Madam Web, we're going to play Dakota and Don Johnson movie trivia.
All right.
Father-daughter.
Got it.
Sound good?
Sounds good. Good.
I think that's about it. It's still Florence Pugh month. February, usually a short month, seems very long this time.
Well, it's a leap year.
Right. There are 29 days in February this year. Seems like we're celebrating Florence Pugh quite a bit, and I'm happy because I'm a fan. Let's kick it off with the Florence Pugh fact.
Yes. Okay, so we are learning a lot about Flo's body, which sounds creepier than I meant it to. I did.
What are we learning, KP?
She has a tattoo. She has a tattoo to commemorate her role in Midsommar, no less. Shortly after the film was released, on her forearm, she had gotten the maypole. Just to kind of like, I don't know if she would have forgotten, but maybe it's like a Maui. The tapestry here on my skin is the map of the victories I was in with Ari Aster.
What if she's getting a tattoo for every movie she does? And eventually her whole body's tattooed up with various things. You know, she was in that Fighting With My Family, and maybe she's got like The Rock or, some sort of wrestling.
Not the image I would have chosen for her from Midsommar either. Like I would have picked her face crying, that
It's so
frowny
vain
face.
to get, like, what a Steve-O move
True.
to get a picture of your own face.
I agree. All right, so how about the guy in the bear suit, just like looking out when he's like paralyzed, like that image? So many great images from that movie. Not the one I would have chosen.
I think it's simple. What I will say is I own a tattoo gun. Flo, hit me up. Matt still hasn't taken me up on the tattoo that I'm supposed to give him.
I'm ready.
Flo, hit me up.
If anybody out there wants a tattoo, I can vouch for KP's skills.
No doubt. We're going to be at Pancakes and Booze checking out.
Next weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend, I think, if you're listening.
Oh, yeah. For those listening, it is this weekend.
Matt, one thing is for certain. When it comes to Sony Marvel movies, nothing is certain. They are actually all over the spectrum. They have truly great entries, such as the Spider-Verse movies and the standalone Spider-Man films that they made the live-action ones. They have some mid-tier ones like Venom, and then they have some garbage like Bloodshot and Morbius. Where does Madam Web fit in? I think we know. But Matt and I hit the theater to find out.
A week ago, I spent my life racing against time,
I'm gonna help you out today, okay?
trying to save people who were running out of it.
Jackie!
Until one moment changed everything.
Come on! Welcome back to the land of the living.
Let's cut right to the point. I found Madam Web to be atrocious. Even worse, I found it to be generic in every way and lacking fun. This is not so bad it's actually pretty good kind of film that KP was hoping for. Nothing worked for me. We can get into how Sony changed the character from the source material, but I'm not even interested in that, as I never heard of Charlotte Webb before this movie.
Wait, Charlotte's Web?
Isn't that not her name, Charlotte Webb?
It's not her name. But
What is her first name? I'm calling her Charlotte Webb.
No, it was Cassie, dude.
Cassie Webb. I'm calling her
Cassandra.
Charlotte. Yes, I'm calling her Charlotte's Webb.
That's
before
some
the movie.
pig.
Yes. In said film, Dakota plays Cassie, a paramedic who we come to find out in the opening 5 minutes was born in the Amazon while her mom was there doing research on spiders. She starts to have visions she cannot explain, but slowly starts to understand that this all stems from her mom's research. She connects with 3 teenage girls who are being hunted down by one of the worst comic book villains of all time by the name of Ezekiel. He is trying to kill these girls because he himself is seeing a vision that they lead to his demise. Ugh. The plot is bad. The villain's motive is bad. The acting is terrible. The script is laughable at parts. If you told me the action and CGI was done by 8th graders who won some sort of contest to work on the film, I would have believed you. We are going to break down Madam Web some more, but Matt, I want to get your initial take. You just came from this clunker.
What a piece of shit Madam Web is. You want a villain with some kind of backstory and motivations that are clear, maybe a little bit of a sympathetic thing going on that we can get behind. Like, you're not going to agree with the villain, but you understand where he's coming from. Nope, none of that. Cardboard cutout. Let's just put him in a Spider-Man suit. Like, I honestly think they just like had one left over and gave it to him. Garbage. And there's these 3 tiers of Spider-Man in the comics. You got street level Spidey, you got your cosmic Spidey, and you got your shamanistic magical Spidey. And now, if you had to guess, which would you say is the least interesting of those 3?
Probably the last one that you mentioned.
Yeah, it is. It's crap. These stories come from the comics, and I didn't like them in the comics either. But at least in the comics, you understand who Ezekiel is, where he's coming from, where he's going, his motivations. And
so at least you knew who this villain was.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least you have a reason to be disappointed because you know him from the source material. I thought this was the most generic villain, honestly, of all time that I've ever seen.
I also know who Madam Web is, and it sure as hell wasn't that. Like, what the hell was that? Like, this is an origin story for Madam Web, And it doesn't make any sense at all. Like there could not be a bigger departure from the source material. And listen, maybe I'm wrong, because I'll be 100% honest. She's not my favorite character. I did read that story arc, but Madam Web goes back way beyond that, like to the 60s maybe, and not my favorite character. Like Spidey was bitten by a radioactive spider. I don't care about like spider totems and the magic in the Amazon and all that. If you do, great. I'm happy for you. But I like my Spidey beating up street thugs and, that kind of thing. Like keeping his relationship together. That's what makes the character interesting.
Right.
These characters are not interesting at all. They are so generic.
They're paper thin, and you're right. Like starting with the villain, who I keep harping on. You're right. You want to be sympathetic towards him, or at least see his motivation, why he's driving for it. I mean, not that we don't see his motivation, but it's so like
he had a bad dream.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like all he's having is this vision. He has like an assistant who, from what we can tell, never gets up out of that chair looking at
in his apartment.
Of looking through like video, combing through different cameras around the city, looking for images of these 3 girls.
And by the way, it's set in 2003, just so they can get around cell phones.
Right. I'm so glad you brought that up. I did not write that down in my notes, but it was something when I was watching the movie that I made a mental note of. Why is this set in 2003? I thought, is this going to tie in? I was trying to think if this was going to tie in some way to
the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I was like, did something happen in 2003? Why did they set this in 2003? And then I realized, they did this just to get away from cell phones, because one of the girls does have a cell phone, like early version.
A rudimentary one.
Yeah, and they throw it out of the window as, I think they can track these things, and they get rid of it. And I thought, is that why they're just doing this to make it the plot, because it was so poorly written? They had to just get rid of cell phones. So let's set this thing in 2003.
Yeah. Now, would you like some character development? Sorry, none here. Can't have any, Rye.
No, none.
There's no kind of arc. Even Cassandra. I'm just going to go ahead. Here is a fair spoiler alert for jawheads listening that want to see Madam Web and haven't seen it yet. The only character development we get is at the very end, where she suddenly becomes Professor X. And changes her whole, character.
Oh, yeah, just in the last couple of minutes there.
Yeah, really, the last 2 minutes.
Okay, let's break this down a little bit more. The opening scene. I already had heard, just a little backdrop here. We mentioned that the press screening was buried at a 1 p.m. weekday, clearly meant so that critics couldn't make it. It made it hard to go see this. So me and Matt both paid for these screenings, and word was already out on the street that this was going to be bad. And then
I knew it the moment I saw the trailer.
Right. So word was that this was going to be bad. This happened. And then I already saw on Letterboxd people that I know and are on the show all the time were already giving it like a half a star, 1 star. Like, oh, geez. Now I'm going this because, we love the Jawheads and we want to get our review
Although
out.
you did bail on Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
No, that was just a busy week. We will get to it. We will get to it. But opening scene, and I'm talking this 5-minute, maybe 10-minute scene before the credits roll when we see them in the Amazon.
Okay.
I knew we were in big trouble. I thought, oh my God, is this awful? 1, it's not even believable that they're in the Amazon. I'm not asking for the world's greatest effects, but it clearly just didn't feel right. It was like a fake set.
They're behind Highway 12 in L.A.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right from the beginning. And then the dialogue is like, I know there's exposition that they need to set up really quick, but it's literally right on the nose. Like, I'm here looking for spiders that can, give psychic powers. They don't necessarily. It's like,
yeah, I know. Why do you think we're already here? You think I'm just learning this for the first time?
It's so awful. And then 2, this villain, this Ezekiel. Does he not age because of the spiders, or is that just the most bizarre thing?
I think that's what they're implying. They do never spell that out, but I at least was able to infer that. That's the one thing I'll give the movie credit for respecting our intelligence on.
It was ridiculous.
We're talking about spider people. Here's another thing. This vision that Ezekiel has, this villain, is of 3 women coming to murder him. And they're all iterations of Spider-Man, one that we've seen before, or should be at least somewhat familiar to Spider-Verse fans. And so he gets thrown out a window by these spider villains, or heroes, whatever you want to call them. Do we ever find out anything about them?
Not really.
No, nothing.
But I think the movie, there's no chance that it's going to. I think the movie was thinking we would find out more about them if this was going to be another little side project by Sony. Maybe, perhaps.
I guess.
It was bad. All right, the tone of the movie is completely off. And I'll give you an example. And tell me this wasn't almost uncomfortable sitting in the theater. It was for me. Early on in the film, Dakota Johnson goes to Cassandra Webb.
And why do they all got to be named Webb?
I know. So
come
ridiculous. She goes to a baby shower. And her mom had died during childbirth in the Amazon. So she goes to this baby shower, and they start pulling up pieces of paper from a hat, and it has memories of your mom on there.
Or advice she gave you. Yeah,
or advice she gave you. And they pull it out, and it's blank. And she says, well, this one's blank. Someone dropped in there by mistake. And she says, Cassandra says, no, that's mine. I have no memory of my mom because she died during childbirth. And it's this awkward, maybe the scene could have worked if it was tonally right, but we're talking to a pregnant woman who's about to give birth.
Well, yeah, that's the comedy of the scene.
But there is no comedy, is what
agree.
I'm
It
pointing.
didn't work.
It didn't work at all. So then it's like, wow, this is like the most uncomfortable scene I've seen in a long time. It's like, this is just brutal. I felt uncomfortable sitting there watching. I'm like, wow, is this bad?
I got a positive. I got one positive here. So Cassandra's powers, Madam Web's power. And by the way, why is she Madam Web all of a sudden?
Who knows?
Like where's the Madam come from? Is she like a web sex worker or something? I don't know. Anyway, her powers always come, at least in the beginning of the movie, for the first 2/3, with some kind of jump scare almost, like some kind of loud sound, and then you see something really horrible that you think is happening, and then all of a sudden time reverses. I liked that at first. I kind of was like, okay, if it keeps kind of going like this, maybe there's something here. I don't know. I was giving it a chance, and I will say at least that was a little positive.
Yeah, well, we were going to get there because I wanted to pick out a jaw-dropping moment, and that actually is my jaw-dropping moment. And I wrote it as this, exactly from my notes. I think the only slightly positive I have is the early moments of Cassandra Webb having her visions of the future and not understanding them. So we were on the same page. I think that's the only enjoyable part. And one in particular is when the pigeon flies into the window.
Yeah. Did it make you jump?
Yeah, it was a little... It was,
and the balloon popping?
Yeah, it was jolting. You're like, oh my God. And then I liked that at that point she's like, I doubt this is going to work. But she opens up the window and then the pigeon flies through again because we've now gone back in time. It reminded me, and I know I've mentioned this on the podcast where we did our favorite video games for our Patreons.
Prince of Persia, Sands of Time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In this game, Prince of Persia.
I love that game.
Dagger, he has this thing called the Dagger of Time. And this is, I'm talking the actual video game, not the movie. Same concept in the movie.
Yeah, skip the movie.
Right. But the game, say you were running down, a hallway and then you went to jump over, open pit.
A pit, yeah.
And fire came up, a pillar of fire came up and burned you. You would hit the Y button and activate your dagger and literally go back in time for about 3 seconds in the game, and then you could do that again and time your jump better.
Such an innovative feature.
Oh, I loved it in the game. That reminded me of her powers early on because she was getting a little bit of a vibe, and it was only a few seconds before something would happen. And she couldn't understand that she was seeing it twice. I like that, but again, slightly. I don't want to oversell that.
I agree. The editing in this movie is terrible. It's terrible. Like, there's spider people, right? So you're going to expect jaunty angles and cameras that are upside down, but they just ruin it. They flip to it. The camera flies around. The cutting is too chaotic and staccato, like really fast edits that don't make sense. You don't know where you are in the world. And now when that's done on purpose to disorient you, fine. But this is not done on purpose. I think it just sucks. The editing lets it down 100%. And the powers get worse as the movie goes on, not better.
I agree. And Dakota Johnson, I have said I'm a very big fan. I don't know what she's doing in this movie. She did not feel
She's getting paid
at all like she believed in the project, like the script. This is literally you're watching someone sitting there doing the bare minimum to get through the movie. Just didn't connect with the movie at all. So even when you're watching bad material, bad special effects, if they have an interesting villain and everybody believes in it at least, it makes it for an enjoyable ride. That's not even there. It's like nobody wanted to be in this movie.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody was in this movie. Except Ben Parker's in this movie.
Yeah. The tie-in here is very strange. Sony has said
and that's
it has,
not a spoiler. He's
No.
right in the trailer.
No tie-in with, according to Sony, that this doesn't tie into anywhere in the Spider-Verse.
It ties in
world,
name only.
But in names. We'll never see anything out of this. I can't imagine anything comes of this movie.
I got to agree with you. I can't imagine. Who knows? Who knows? This is going to flop.
We gave our jaw-dropping moment. We would say early use of powers, slightly cool. That's all I'll give it. As for a movie poster quote, I went pretty right on point here.
Go.
And I just went with Madam Shit.
Wow. All right. I actually took a little time and wrote, here's my movie poster quote. Your fortune. You will meet a tall, dark stranger. They will tell you not to watch this movie. Listen to them.
Was it Matt Kay from the future?
It was.
course.
It was the future Matt Kay.
Future Matt Kay, I gotta say, is looking good. You've been working out.
Thanks, KP. Yeah. I'm thinking about working out now, so I guess it works.
How many jaws, Matt Kay?
I have to give it a jaw?
You can go 0.
I'm not going 0. It takes a lot of people, a lot of creativity, a lot of time to make a movie. It's a miracle that any movie exists. Someone may like this movie. It sure as hell wasn't me. I'm giving it 1 jaw.
I'm also at 1 jaw. I'm between a half a jaw and a jaw. I went full jaw.
I did have a few jump scares, and there was a little bit of fun in the beginning of Act 1. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow.
A little bit of fun in the beginning of Act 1. Gets downhill from there.
Really bad.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Pretty crappy.
Before we get to our top 5 psychic movies, other bad comic book movies that are in this realm where you're
where
just
should
like,
I begin?
Yeah, like, oh my God, we just saw Madam Web. I want to pile on with bad comic book movies. Where would you go?
I am a comic book movie apologist. You know this. I love comic book movies. I love comic books. But there are some bad ones out there. I would start with Spider-Man 3. Let's just keep it in this spider vein. Here we got, like, finally a fan favorite character, Venom. And I actually even like Topher Grace as a casting choice for Eddie Brock, although he's supposed to be this big, hulking guy. Fine. Topher Grace, I think he's a great actor. I think he's actually kind of underrated. That's my take on him. But man, oh man, then we get the spider dance and the whole, it's like, what were they thinking with this thing? It's bad. It's really bad. And then I would also go, speaking of dance scenes, to Daredevil. Man, wanted to love Daredevil so much. And then that stupid playground scene with him and Elektra.
And let's talk about Elektra.
Do we have to?
It's bad also. That's one on my list where I was like, wow, this is just painful to watch. I have no vested interest or entertainment that I get out of watching Elektra. Just bad. Bad.
Yeah, we had our fun with Catwoman, the Halle Berry one.
Right. That's why those are
That's
movies,
so bad it's good.
Right. And there's something about the characters that you can watch, and at least she was committed to the role is what I'm saying. Like, okay, well,
It's full commitment.
yeah, like, all right, she went for it. It stinks, but she went for it. Dakota Johnson didn't go for it in this movie.
No. I'm sure she was hungover every single day of the shoot. Seriously. Listen, I don't know. I'm just saying that's the kind of energy she had.
Another bad one I wanted to bring up was Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah. What a stinker. Almost derailed his entire career.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad one. And then if I had to throw one other one in there, Iron Man 2.
Okay, fine. I actually like that one, okay. But I'm calling an audible here. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, did you see the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine?
I have not. I was watching the Super Bowl, and the ad came on.
And you left the room? What are you thinking?
So you've been to my place. It's, kind of like a big living room kitchen all in one. I was in the kitchen area, and I was just sort of like looking from afar while I was getting some food ready. And it said to go watch the trailer. And I've totally forgot about it since then.
Wait.
And it's like the most viewed trailer in like a 24-hour period, I think, of all time.
I watched it like 3 or 4 times.
I still haven't seen it.
I went into Parker's room and I'm like, you got to see this. It's good. It's really good.
Well,
you got to see it
I'll watch it.
after the Jaw.
Yeah.
We'll watch
put it on.
or during the break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah, do it in the break.
Yeah, and then we can come back and talk about it.
it. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll do
all
it
right.
during the
I
break.
like that.
All right. Let's get on to psychics. Like I said, I had a difficult time, not necessarily coming up with a full 5, but times I know I've watched movies where someone has like and I actually love when this happens, when characters have a vision of the future and we're confused on how they're going to get to there, and we keep seeing it, maybe a motif or something in the film, and it's building to this moment. I love those kind of movies, but those are tough sometimes to research because the whole film's not necessarily about a psychic.
I got films that are about psychics.
Well, what do you got at 5, buddy?
At number 5, I've got a movie called Vibes.
Never heard of it, Matt. Sell me on Vibes.
Okay. 1988, Ryan.
Okay.
Imagine 1988, okay? You got Cyndi Lauper and Jeff Goldblum.
No way.
No way. And their who do you want? What do you want to say? Mentor. The person they look up to. Their Yoda. Peter Falk, of all people.
Wow.
Yes.
Columbo
himself. Yes. So the grandfather from Princess Bride, and among many other great roles. These two are psychics, and they get sent on an adventure to do some psychic stuff. I forget the exact plot because the last time I saw it was probably like 1987 or, well, it came out in 88, 1989 or something.
Whoa, you were seeing the future in 87.
Yeah, I was seeing the future. But I remember this was like a VHS rental thing that I would watch again and again. It's like somewhat wholesome but fun, and it's the exact kind of movie you would expect from Cyndi Lauper and Jeff Goldblum. Do I need to say anything else?
I can't believe that those two were in a movie together.
And it's... Listen, I liked it. I'm not saying
was
it's great.
Was Cyndi Lauper in a lot of movies that I don't know about?
No. And I'm looking at, the internet is great and sucks at the same time. This has a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. I loved it as a kid. I was a kid, but I loved it. Vibes.
All right. Well, mine,
and it's about psychics.
I'm wondering where mine number 5 lands on the tomato. So can we throw this into the fish tank KP? Where does Stir of Echoes rank on Rotten Tomatoes? This film came out in 1998, Stir of Echoes. It stars Kevin Bacon. He's like a blue-collar guy, and he doesn't believe at all in supernatural phenomenons, but he ends up letting his wife's sister put him into a hypnotic trance. And after he wakes up, he realizes he now has a psychic connection with his son, Jake. He also has hallucinations of a missing teenage neighbor named Samantha. He eventually is convinced his visions will lead him to the girl who's missing and begins a desperate search that puts him in life-threatening situations. It's a thriller. It's a psychological thriller.
Yeah, decent.
I remember it in the late 90s, it coming out in 99, and enjoying the hell out of it. Like, it was a great little feature from Kevin Bacon.
99?
That's what I have it as. Maybe I wrote that down wrong.
I think you did.
I did?
think it's 89, dude.
KP?
It's 99.
It is
it's
99.
Okay.
So 99, yeah, I remember those are like the early days of DVD. I remember renting the DVD. I remember the cover of it. And I remember having a good time with this. I'm wondering if it's fresh or if it's rotten. I have no idea. But for my taste back then, pretty good Kevin Bacon thriller.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Bacon's been in some decent thrillers, and this one's one of them. So, all right, that swings it over to me. At number 4, there's a lot of different psychic powers, right? Like, you could move things with your mind, which is telekinesis. You could reach out and see things remotely, which is clairvoyance. You can predict the future, which is precognition. Or you could see dead people, like Hailey Joel Osmond did in The Sixth Sense. It's right there in the title, Ryan. The Sixth Sense. We don't have to talk about it.
Also,
movie
1999.
Is it?
It is.
What a great year for movies.
I know.
Because that's also when The Matrix came out.
Oh, yeah.
Which you could throw
it's
in.
It's a great one.
It's
100%.
Actually an honorable mention of mine.
Yes, The Oracle.
The Oracle.
One of my favorite scenes in The Matrix.
There is no spoon.
It's the best.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, I mean, I see dead people. Fantastic.
What is that called, by the way? That psychic power.
Can we throw that in the fish tank?
Yeah.
People who speak to the dead.
Yeah. That may also fall under clairvoyance, but I don't think so. I think they're two different things.
Well, we'll find out.
Like a medium, right?
Yeah.
Could be medium.
It is a medium, but is there like a more scientific term, like telekinesis and that kind of thing? We'll find out.
My number 4 pick came out in 2011. It stars the great Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain. I love this movie. It's directed by Jeff Nichols. The name of it is called Take Shelter. And in this
You love this movie.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. But it's one of the films, to be absolutely honest, I've only seen one time. And it's one of them that it had such a profound effect on me. I never wanted to revisit it. You know, it's just a perfect movie. I ranked it. I remember we were doing Cinemajaw for, must have been our 5-year anniversary. We did a special, what are the best movies we've seen since we've been doing Cinemajaw. And if Take Shelter wasn't 1, it was 2. I was right up there in the 5 years that we had been doing it. I loved it that much.
Time to revisit that list.
So Take Shelter, Michael Shannon plays, he's got a father of a deaf daughter, and he starts to have these visions of apocalyptic world, these strange storms, all hell's breaking loose, and he decides that he wants to build a shelter, and people think that he's crazy. This is somewhat of a cheat because I don't know what you would call this. He's not necessarily a psychic. The visions are doubling down for someone who is dealing with a mental disorder. So it's not necessarily a psychic. He's having visions, and the whole time in the film, we're never quite sure, are these visions going to come true? Are they real? Or is he imagining these? So it's somewhat of a cheat, but it goes a little bit deeper into the fact that into the shelter he goes is into the mind, his own mind.
Is it like, is he a prophet? Is he being, because that's different, right?
Yeah. And again, because the movie's dealing with mental illness, I mean, you could look at it as, well, he's just having these, his own
premonitions.
His premonitions and dealing with his demons, and the storms are really the illness that's taking over his brain. I love it, though. I think Take Shelter, if you haven't seen it, really, really worth your time to check out. Michael Shannon's best performance, and he's done a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever been better than he has been in Take Shelter.
Shape of Water?
Oh, he's better than Shape of Water in this one.
I love his performance in Shape of Water. That's probably what won at the Best Picture, was Michael Shannon.
He's good. He's good. He's always
great.
good.
He is always good. All right. It sure wasn't having sex with a fish, I'm saying, I was about to say, speaking of having sex with a fish, but I won't. I'm not saying that at all. My number 3 is a character played by Whoopi Goldberg, and the character is from Ghost. She's a fake psychic, or at least she believes she's a fake psychic who scams people, like one of these fortune tellers you might find at a carnival or something like that, or the Renaissance Fair, which is done for entertainment, but she takes it a step further and claims to be real. And then lo and behold, I think she's in New Orleans or something. Lo and behold, she can see Patrick Swayze and reintroduces him to his lost love, Demi Moore. And there's a really awkward dance sequence with Demi Moore and Whoopi Goldberg where it suddenly turns into Patrick Swayze. But in the back of your mind, you're like, but she's actually with Whoopi Goldberg.
Right. Well, that's right when the whole penny takes place, with the penny from underneath the door, and he carries the penny to her hand, then the dance sequence. It's this beautiful moment in the movie, but when you're thinking about it, she's actually dancing with Whoopi Goldberg. Right?
Right. Yeah.
It's always kind of odd.
Yeah, it's a great movie, though.
Oh, I love Ghost. I think it's actually underrated as far as...
Oh, no, it's not underrated.
I was about to say for the quality. I think it lives in our collective minds, but I think
it's
the
a great
quality,
movie. It's not underrated.
It was actually nominated for Best Picture of the Year. I'm saying it was one of the best movies that year.
Celebrated, for sure.
Love it. My number 3, not celebrated as much as Ghost, came out in 2016, and this is the kind of movie I was talking about where I love where we get visions of the future and the whole movie's maybe leading to it in the climactic moments, and we're waiting to see if it's going to stay on target or not.
Stay on target.
The Conjuring 2. I don't think you've ever seen any of the Conjuring movies yet.
I did. I saw one of them.
You saw the third one. I remember you jumped in at number 3.
What's it called?
Conjuring 3, I forget. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah. Yes, the trial one. You hated it.
Did I? I don't
Yes.
remember.
Yeah, you definitely jumped in late. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one's awesome.
First one's great.
Okay.
Second one's pretty damn good also. And what I like about it and why it fits on this list is that Lorraine Warren, who is the wife, she is having visions. This is right after the Amityville investigation. She has these visions of her husband getting impaled by a fence and dying. And she also has this vision of this demonic nun, which obviously there's
Gets her
movies
own
of the
spin-off.
nun. Yeah,
Yeah.
the nun gets its own spin-off. But the visions that she's having of her husband are all leading to this horrific accident, or she doesn't know how it's going to happen. She keeps having these visions. And then at the very end of the movie, it all comes to this climactic moment where he's going to either get pushed out the window and get impaled on the fence and so on and so forth. And it actually made for a damn thrilling horror film. I like all of the Conjuring movies. Diminishing returns is the phrase we like to use. But 1 and 2, I think, are very enjoyable.
I mean, I don't remember hating 3. I hated it, KP.
Yes.
Okay.
And you started that review with first things first, the Warrens are charlatans. I remember this vividly.
Well, it's true. It's true. I sometimes get up on the soapbox because I'm into magic and mentalism. And so, why are you laughing?
You're into mentalism.
I am.
Bullshit.
Do we really need to have this argument? You know I can do some pretty crazy stuff. You've seen my magic and whatnot.
You bent a spoon one time.
I bend spoons. I stop watches. All that kind of stuff. Now, guys,
when
I'm not
met
claiming
Matt-
it's real. These are tricks. Sleight of hand, misdirection.
When I met Matt, you used to carry a spoon in your inside pocket of your coat.
Not just a spoon. I had a whole cutlery drawer in there, buddy.
It's ridiculous.
Well, hey, listen. When you're a magician, you got to carry some stuff around. You know?
I remember thinking you were one of the weirdest dudes. I was like, what the hell am I doing this podcast with this guy?
That's a
10
weird-
years later,
Yeah.
and we're all having the same thought. It wasn't until actually I came around that you stopped thinking the weirdest.
Yeah, if almost 15 years. Where was I going with all that?
You like mental.
So the mentalists, have you ever heard of the Amazing Randy?
I think you've told me about him.
Okay, so he debunked all these fake guys. Him and oh man, now I'm blanking on his name. They fooled the scientists. It's a fascinating story. Anyway, so sometimes I get really angry about charlatans and fakes and stuff like that because anybody who claims they're really psychic. Listen, I would love there to be wonder and magic in the world, and I hope there is. Maybe I'm wrong. I really hope there is. I hope I'm wrong. But everything I've seen, I haven't seen the proof so far.
Sure.
And so there you go. Sometimes I get angry about it.
Back to our list.
All right. Thank you for the tangent.
Yeah. What do you got sitting at number 2, man?
At number 2, I have another obvious pick, but belongs on this list. And the psychic power in question is called The Shining. And the psychic I'm going with from the movie is Danny, who has his little friend Tony, who he talks to. And the best scene that it kind of explains the psychic powers with what's his name? Scatman Carruthers? Well, that's what I'm going with. Edit that out. Where he's sitting in the kitchen and he explains how things shine, you know? And it's like, I can tell that you have the shining too. It's just, it was a really good explanation and like a plausible, almost plausible to a scientific level of how psychic powers might work, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought it was done really well. The Shining, Danny. And he came back in Dr. Sleep.
Right. I was wondering because Dr. Sleep has a little bit of this going on.
Yeah.
I thought might land on your list. I've never revisited since the press screening that we saw.
Same. I only saw it the once.
So my number 2, directed by Sam Raimi. You're a fan. If I told you it had the cast of Cate Blanchett, Keanu Reeves, Giovanni Ribisi, Hilary Swank, Katie Holmes, and Greg Kinnear. Oh, my God.
Damn.
In a Sam Raimi movie. You'd say, where do I rent this picture? Well, I'm going to tell you the name of it. It's called The Gift. It came out in the year 2000. And in it, Cate Blanchett is the one that plays the psychic. She is, they're in a small town, this group in Georgia, and she is a clairvoyant fortune teller who has visions of her late grandmother. And then after somebody ends up disappearing, it's like the principal, I think the wife or somebody at the school ends up disappearing. She receives a vision revealing that she's been killed and that her body's thrown in a pond. And they go to that person's house. I think the husband still lives at the house. They wait till he's gone, and they go in the pond, and they find the body. And then some people start to believe that she does have these powers, obviously, as she sees this. And that really kicks off this entire kind of thriller. It's almost like a noir film. I think it doesn't get enough attention. Actually,
is there a movie called The Gift that you don't like?
Actually, you're right. I do like the other movie with Jason Bateman called The Gift. See where The Gift that came out in 2000 lands on Rotten Tomatoes, because this is another, maybe it's rotten, but I remember seeing it when it came out and loving this one. Plus, I'm a huge Cate Blanchett fan, so
who
makes
isn't?
sense. I know.
All right. When you talk about psychic movies, Ryan, there's one that pops into your mind, and you better hope that your whole freaking head doesn't just explode. David Cronenberg's Scanners from 1981.
Saw this on lists. I have never seen it.
If you never watch, listen, if you know, you know. But if you don't know and you never watch anything from this movie, just go on YouTube and type in Scanners Head Explode. You may have seen this as a meme. I'm sure like 90% of people listening have. But if you haven't, if you live under that rock, turn it over, because even from 1981, the special effects hold up pretty damn good. That was an amazing, amazing scene, and it took a long time for the rough edges to be evident.
So what is the movie about, though?
The movie's in a nutshell, there's this group of men and women called scanners who have psychic powers, and for the most part, they're pretty much decent people. But then there's this rogue group of renegade scanners that want to use their powers to rule the world. And Michael Ironside is in there as one of the I think he's the antagonist, but he might have been the good guy. It's been so long, I got to revisit. This made me want to rewatch a bunch of movies.
Right.
You know?
That's why we do these lists, and hopefully that's what people listening are saying too.
But it's Cronenberg. I mean, need I say more?
Right.
It's Scanners, Cronenberg. This is peak Cronenberg.
I got to see it. I have to. It's been on my list to see. So.
Oh, yeah.
Another one, not my number one. Another one I was missing that popped up in my research, and I already have written down, is a Donald Sutherland movie from the 70s called Don't Look Now.
Don't know this one.
And I saw it pop up on this, and I was like, man, I already have it written down in my journal to watch. So that made me excited. I'm like, another excuse to watch it. As for my number one, I think this is a movie, we watched and reviewed The Conversation, and it was a movie that seems to, all these years later, it's 50 years old now, it seems to resonate how aren't people talking about The Conversation more? It's a great Gene Hackman. It's Francis Ford Coppola. I think my number one, it gets a lot of praise, but it seems to not be right at the top of the surface when we're talking about the actor and the director. And I think it's only aged like a fine wine. The more I think about this movie, the more I love it and always want to revisit it. I'm going with 2002 Minority Report.
Oh, yeah. You love this freaking movie.
Tom Cruise, peak Tom Cruise, directed by Steven Spielberg. And it is about pre-crime. The idea here is that there are these precogs, they call them. The main one is played by Samantha Morton. And these precogs are in this pool of water with this special little helmet on, and they have these visions of crime that is about to happen. And when they have that crime that's about to happen, that sets forth this cool-looking ball that gets in.
It's like a Rube Goldberg device.
Yeah, and the ball comes down, and it's carved in there, murder or whatever. And then these team of pre-crime, who Tom Cruise is a part of, goes out and tries to stop the crime before it actually happened. Great idea. And this ends up turning on him, and he gets accused of crime, and now he's the one on the run. And you got Colin Farrell in there as well. Great cast. And it's like a noir. And it's like
a future noir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
It's got a cool look to it. And again, talking about what I love the most, this exact scene where we keep getting this vision of somebody in a room that Tom Cruise is looking for, and he sees this vision from the precog, and we never quite understand what he's seeing or who this person is. And it turns out that when he gets into the room of the guy that may have kidnapped his son, it's the vision was of this billboard that was outside of the window. It was like an advertisement outside the window. I love those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
You know
That is
I mean?
a nice little detail.
It's like you can't quite understand what the vision is, and then we see it in full vision later when we realize what it is. And it's just this advertisement reflection through the window. Love all that kind of stuff.
I do too.
So Minority Report, my number one. If you haven't seen it, well worth a spin. Honorable mentions, Arrival, which, you got the aliens.
Oh, yeah. Who is the psychic?
Well, it turns out that, remember, Amy Adams is kind of starting to remember all this stuff, and it turns out that time is very circular, and that it's already all happened, and you can sort of remember it and predict it and yada, yada. Like it. Dark City, in a way, which was also a sci-fi noir.
Also with the Sutherland in it, right?
Yes.
Isn't Kiefer in there?
Kiefer's in there. And then Eden Lake, which was a small movie with Michael Fassbender, where he has a vision early on about some teenagers wreaking havoc, and they wreak havoc.
While not my favorite entry into the series, that would be part 6 for those of you taking notes. My second favorite entry is part 7 of Friday the 13th, and the psychic in there is Tina Shepard, who battles against Jason Voorhees with her psychic powers. It's great. It's just great.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then I had the Oracle from The Matrix, which we talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it. Jawheads, if we missed your favorite psychic movie, clairvoyant, and such, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw, or just send it to us mentally.
One more. Bonus. Carrie. How could we not say Carrie?
Carrie's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
Good
done
pick.
now.
All right. Stop there. Shoot us a tweet or email, feedback@cinemajaw.com. All we have left to do is play a little trivia. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, open up the fish tank, play some trivia, and wrap this thing up.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back on Cinemajaw.
Let's all go to the lobby. I don't know what to tell you. Ted is with her at the hospital right now. He said she needs a few stitches. She slipped cleaning the window. It was an accident.
Nope, I saw her. She cut herself.
You had a bad night.
Don't.
You weren't feeling
No.
how she felt, and you imagine the worst case scenario.
She slit her throat.
It's crazy.
Jack, I saw it happen. She cut herself open. There was blood everywhere. It's not just a few stitches.
Please don't get hysterical.
Jack. She was my friend. And she came to me for help. And I ignored her. And then this happened. And I feel like it's my fault.
Sparkling drinks, it all colored dandy, 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 dandy.
And we are back on Cinemajaw. Before
I knew you were going to say that.
you did, before we get to trivia and talk about the Deadpool trailer that I just watched, we threw a few items into the fish tank. KP, what do we got?
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, there's some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
It's so great to be coming out of the fish tank this week. So something that the Jawheads don't know about us, a little peer into the Cinemajaw crew's lifestyles. We actually all have different superpowers. Matt K obviously can be in 2 places at once. Rye the Movie Guy's superpower is knowing if there's an end credits sequence. My superpower, I'm technopathic. That's how I look up all this stuff. And that's why I always have all these answers that we throw in here. The first question of which, where does Stir of Echoes stand on Rotten Tomatoes? So Ryan, very high on it. Where would you rank it if you had your own tomato monitor?
Why I was so interested in this one is I think it's going to be very close to the Fresh Rotten border.
Threshold.
The 50%.
So it's 60% fresh. I'm going to put it right at 60%.
Okay, so you're better. It's better, not by much. Audience score is 70%, so audiences
Generally liked it.
Yeah, not good, not great, but good.
Yeah.
And critic score is 68. Not a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say it's amazing, but it's a good movie.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
You're doing all right. And you know what? Similar, like Jawheads, we're always looking for this feedback at cinemajaw.com or the astral projection that you guys are putting out to us. I did check it out, and it is streaming on Roku. It is with ads on Pluto and Tubi. And using my technopathic powers, I did all of us a service. And I single-handedly put Stir of Echoes on Hoopla.
We
love Hoopla.
I love it.
Wait, you can add movies to Hoopla?
KP can.
You can't, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I'm gatekeeping. What was the one we were remiss about last week? I'm gatekeeping.
Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah. Dream Warriors.
Which,
that
by the
one's
way,
just
we
for
will
me.
be watching.
We will be, yes.
What is the name of the psychic power of talking to the dead? And one, there are so many more psychic powers than we realized. And some of these are a little hokey, like that's not a brain thing. That's just a separate superpower, you assholes. But specifically for that one, so it said mediums or, I mean, and this is obvious. In hindsight, we all knew this. Channeling.
Okay.
Channeling.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they even say that in what's the Native American burial site movie from the 80s?
A lot of them.
The man drinks the worm in the tequila. His face peels off. What?
Poltergeist.
Thank you.
Right.
But the Shining too. They say that the Overlook Hotel is built on the Native American burial ground.
Oh, I thought they called them channelers. Interesting. And then our second one, where does The Gift from 2000 fall on Rotten Tomatoes?
Wait, I'm going to also put it right around that 60%
No. It's worse than the people like it less than
Which one
Stir
now?
of Echoes.
The Gift.
Audience score of 55.
Ooh, tough.
That makes it rotten. Like
for sure.
Anything lower than a 60 is.
And the critic score?
Critics score slightly better, so the opposite, 58. I mean, that's pretty close to 60. I'll give that one to you. And this one is streaming on Paramount Plus. And on Pluto with ads. I tried to pull as many strings as I can. You know, I don't get paid for what I do. So honestly, Jawheads, back us on Patreon or something if you want me to put more stuff on Hoopla.
Love it. Speaking of KP inside the fish tank, we got some feedback from Flicker Joe, who has not written into us in a very long time. And he came out firing about KP.
Great to hear from Flicker Joe.
It was. But he threw KP under the bus, saying that KP was doing some research on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and how many movies they had made. And
we forgot a banger.
And it is called, I didn't even know they made this movie, Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Batman. One of the two.
And I looked it up. Flicker Joe is right. It's very fresh on the tomato. It doesn't have like a ton of reviews, but it's very fresh and people like this movie. I looked it up and he wasn't the only one that's enthusiastic about it.
Did you watch?
I'm angry with myself because it is awesome.
Oh,
have you seen it?
Yes, it is awesome.
Okay.
I mean, and it's
How
just
could
like
it not be?
Exactly.
It's Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, sign me up. I got to see this. I watched a bit of it. I watched a trailer. Or like a scene, a clip. Sweet.
Are we talking like a full length, like hour and a half movie, or is it like somewhat shorter, like those animated Batman movies?
It's like a 90-minute movie, right?
Yeah, like, and I don't think like Mask of the Phantasm. I don't know the exact runtime, but I wouldn't
right
call
around
that
there.
shorter necessarily.
It's feature length. The feature length animated Batman movies, some of them are really freaking good.
Right.
Really freaking good.
Under the Red Hood,
those.
also,
Yeah.
they're awesome.
Yep.
So, also, while we're still in the fish tank, Matt mentioned that there was a new Deadpool trailer out.
Yeah.
This premiered or came out right around the Super Bowl, and they had a big commercial, and it said, "Go watch the trailer." I finally watched it. We saw it had something like 14 million views. I thought it was pretty good.
That's your comment?
That's all.
It's pretty good.
It didn't get me super excited. I don't know the whole backstory. I mean, You've
seen the first two movies.
I do, and I like them. I'm not saying I hate the Deadpool, but like you told me that Deadpool was a X-Men, a mutant is the way you had said it.
Yeah. You watched the first 2 movies, right?
I know, but in my mind, I don't associate him with like being another.
He's hanging out with Colossus. Who do you think that guy is?
I know. Dude, I'm not big into comic book movies. I watch these movies like they're for a quick entertainment. I have a laugh, and I don't get into like. I don't even know who Colossal is.
Colossus.
Piss the hell out of me, man.
They fight Juggernaut.
I don't know who Juggernaut is. You think I know who Juggernaut is?
He's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah,
but like,
that's right. He is.
But do I know him in a greater context? No, I don't know. I don't know how all these are connected. Okay, so Wolverine's going to be in this one. I guess they're friends. Cool.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
I thought
your ignorance is staggering.
I thought it pretty much played the same card as the first 2, except like, ooh, this time he's going to be in Disney, and it's like, okay, they're just playing the same card for a third time. But what did you see? You're more of an expert in this field.
I just thought it looked fun. That's all.
Yeah, I think it'll be entertaining.
My big issue with this trailer, for being a Deadpool and Wolverine film, we do not like the cool thing about these 2 characters is that they are indestructible, and we do not see enough body mutilation. That's my hot take.
Well, you see quite a bit. You see a little bit anyway.
Not really.
Bones broken, and then they back together.
I want like
it's very fast.
I want some like regenerate. You know that scene in X-Men 2 where Wolverine pushes the bullet out of his forehead? It's awesome. I want something like butts to nuts crazy like that. And I didn't get butts to nuts crazy.
I can't remember which Wolverine comic opens up with him, just his torso, clawing his way through the snow to try to find his legs because the Hulk ripped him in half and threw his legs like a mile away. I love that. It was great.
Well, we'll see it. We'll review it at some point.
We will.
Whenever this damn thing comes out. But I thought probably a little too hyped for right now. You were super excited.
Well,
How many times have you seen it?
I watched it like 3 or 4 times.
Jesus.
Maybe 5.
Yeah.
It's a good trailer.
All right. That everything in the fish tank?
That's all we got. That's all I know of.
Jump back in there.
You bet.
Like I said, we got one thing left to do, Matt, and that's play some trivia. In honor of Madam Web, we're playing Dakota and Don Johnson movie trivia.
Okay.
They are daughter, father.
Got it.
Matt did not know this.
Didn't. To be honest, I
Don
didn't.
Johnson.
I think I did somewhere in the back of my brain, but
daughter is Dakota Johnson. Question number 1. Matt needs 3 or more not to be stumped. Question 1. Dakota Johnson starred in 50 Shades of Grey.
Didn't even know that. Never read the book.
And its 2 sequels.
50 Shades Darker.
Name one of the 2 sequel titles.
I think I just did. 50 Shades of Grey, and then I'll say 50 Shades Darker.
That is correct.
Okay.
Any guess on the third one?
Even darker than that? I don't know. It's got to be a play on that, though.
50 Shades Freed.
That is so
Fail.
stupid. That is so stupid.
Has anyone seen these movies?
I saw the first one
Oh,
with
you
an
did?
ex like 900 years ago.
Never saw them.
They're not good.
They're not.
Yeah.
But so bad they're good?
No.
No.
It's like kink.
No.
They're
It's
in the
like
Madam
kink
Web,
light, right?
Madam Web territory.
It's
Just
not even
bad.
good at it. That's the thing.
Right.
Like I don't know. I never read the books, but like
It's like nobody likes Diet Pepsi, you know?
it is. Yeah, it's very, very vanilla.
It's just a shame.
Yeah.
Shame. Question number 2 over to you, Matt. Don Johnson appears in one Quentin Tarantino movie. Name it.
The Hateful Eight.
We're looking for Django Unchained.
Damn it.
He is in Django Unchained.
If I stopped and slowed down, I would have got that right.
Yeah. Should have used your psychic powers, you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to cheat.
Shame. You would think with the psychic powers you'd be better at trivia.
Yeah. I did explain that it's all misdirection and showmanship.
Put your spoon back down.
Yeah.
Question number 3.
There is no spoon.
Dakota Johnson made one movie with Jeff Bridges that came out in 2018. Name said film.
It's called well, True Grit was Hailey Steinfeld. I think Dakota Johnson was in Lionheart, right?
That is incorrect. We're looking for Bad Times at the El Royale.
Oh.
Matt has
Still haven't seen that, by the way.
It's so good. You
I
would
know.
enjoy it.
That is 2018 is making me feel so old.
Yes.
Yeah.
2018. Matt has one correct. He needs the next two to win this thing. Matt, question 4. Who played Don Johnson's wife in Knives Out?
I think... Okay, it wasn't Toni Collette. She was like the free spirit, I believe. Let me think this through. Who else we got in there? Obviously, it was not Jamie Lee Curtis. There's... or was it? I believe it was Jamie Lee.
That is correct. It's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Wow.
It comes down to this. Did Matt blow it or did Matt win it? Question 5.
At least I kept it exciting.
Dakota Johnson starred in one movie with Mia Goth and Tilda Swinton. Name the film. Dakota Johnson, Mia Goth, Tilda Swinton.
Okay. When I hear the name Mia Goth, it has to be a horror movie. I'm guessing. This is my train of thought out loud for everybody to hear. And the only horror movie I can place Tilda Swinton in that would also make sense to see Dakota Johnson in would be Suspiria.
That is correct. Well done, Matt Kay. You are not stumped this week. You got 3 out of 5.
Yes.
Well played.
All right.
Yes.
See, I use my psychic powers there.
I like it.
Yeah.
Ends the jaw on a high note.
How about it?
That's what we love. First and foremost, we got to thank our editor, our producer, KP.
You know I wouldn't be anywhere else on a Thursday night. I couldn't be happier. Thank you.
We also got to thank our Patreons. Thanks for supporting the show. If you want to join us over there, our family of Patreons, it's very simple. You go over to patreon.com/Cinemajaw, and you can donate at any level, and it unlocks a bunch of goodies.
Who used to get pissed off when we said backslash?
Somebody wrote in. We had a jawhead right in, and rightfully so. We're wrong
guess.
by saying backslash. Just say slash.
I like backslash. I miss backslash. I'm bringing backslash back.
No
Incorrectly.
backslash.
Yeah. That's why not? Okay. Yes, please do that. And we should record. We've been doing a movie roundup podcast on Patreon, which is lots of fun. And we should throw a new one up, Ryan.
Yeah, we're going to soon.
Okay.
For sure. Also, a great way to support the show is leaving us a review or at least a rating on any one of these podcast apps that you're listening to us to right now.
You know, it's been a minute since I've read a good review of Cinemajaw or even a bad review. Let's just write a review. It would be nice to read a new one.
Agreed. You can follow me over on Letterboxd. I'm putting new reviews of everything I'm seeing in 2024, so get over there. And we're on all the social medias, YouTube.
We're everywhere.
Facebook.
Just search Cinemajaw. Yeah.
You'll find us. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on jawing about the movies.